Hello and welcome everyone. In today's video we're looking at 4 patch ideas for the Piston Honda. The Piston Honda is a fairly complex module with a lot of hidden functions, and so I thought why not give you 4 different ideas, including using custom wavetables or the external mode to get you going. The Piston Honda has a cool function that if you create your own wavetables, for example using the Wave Edit software from Synthesis Technology, you can then just easily import them into your Piston Honda using an SD card and Piston Honda's menu. So in this case here, I just took some voice recordings from one of my earlier videos and I turned them into a wavetable, and you can still hear the vocal characteristics of these wavetables here. What I specifically like about this wavetable is that if I focus on specific smaller segments of this voice recording, it doesn't sound like my voice at all. But I can give it small variations to create a lot of lead sounds or bass sounds that still have a bit of a human touch and still have a bit of movement. And I'll show you a couple of examples here. What's also cool about wavetables is that you can control their harmonic content without using a filter. What I have here is 3 different envelopes that move around the wavetables to give me a lot of overtones during the attack of the sound. And then these envelopes go back to 0, moving my wavetable back to the sine wave position. With this kind of setup, I just need a VCA after the Piston Honda and I'm ready to go to make all kinds of interesting sounds. I'm running each envelope that goes into the Piston Honda into a VCA first. And so each envelope has a little bit of an amplitude modulation, a random amplitude whenever it comes in. So the wavetable that is being selected for the Piston Honda whenever I trigger a key, whenever I play the Piston Honda, is slightly different every time. Alright, so another thing you might have not tried yet with the Piston Honda is the external mode. Because the Piston Honda is an oscillator, it normally reads on its wavetable from left to right, which gives us, of course, this wavetable. But what you can do if you select the mode button is that you can have the wave shape being read by another oscillator, and the volume knob then becomes the frequency knob becomes a volume knob. So if I show you what's going on here, if we have, say, a triangle wave like this, and we just set it up just right, like so, then we can read out our sine wave pretty much. And so now you can see here that once we start our saw wave, and so now our saw wave, even though we're not recording it, is controlling the frequency of our oscillator 1. And if we now move through the different wave shapes, we can see that if we read it out linearly, we basically get pretty much the same wave shape back, right? What happens though if we say select our oscillator B and we change the wave shape to, say, a sine wave, then whatever we read out will not be the linear output, right? It may look similar for a sine wave if we tune it correctly, but if we were to just set up oscillator A to be, say, a triangle normally, and I'll quickly switch modes here. I want it to be a very typical, here we go, very typical sawtooth. Now if we switch back, we can see we don't get that sawtooth if we put in a sine wave, because once the sawtooth is starting, the sine wave will go back up and give us the wrong shape. Again, if we move oscillator B to a similar sawtooth shape, we might be getting this one, but as soon as we move and change only oscillator B, we see that our output will change dramatically. So what's kind of nice about this is that if we get more and more input into the oscillator, we get some form of wave shaping. And so this wave shaping can now be controlled using the frequency input, using an oscillator. So you can basically create an infinite amount of new waveforms from other waveforms, and you can wavefold them on top of it all, which is pretty nifty. So let's check out some patches. And finally, you can disable Morph in your Piston Honda, and that means that instead of interpolating between different wavetables, it will actually jump from one wavetable to another, which gives you a bit more of a glitchy sound when you switch fast in between the possible wavetables. I find that this glitchiness is particularly suited for percussion sounds, so here I'm just using a VCA with a short cutoff to create all sorts of like glitchy percussive sounds. So those were 4 patching tips for the Piston Honda. As always, thank you for watching. If you want to see more module reviews, patch examples, or short excursions into music theory, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.